Dear students in 6 Blue, this is Mr. Abul Magd Sumbati talking to you. Today inshallah we have a new language lesson, and the title of this lesson is Verb Tense. You can find this lesson in page 230 in your language book. So before we start the explanation of that lesson, please let's check the agenda of today. So today inshallah I will try to understand the verb tense, answering the question what are the verb tenses, so in which we have them as three categories. We have present and present perfect, past and past perfect, and future perfect. Then we'll study a point about consistency of tense. And finally, we have two reviews exercising the points we're going to cover today. So let's check the next slide. So here is asking us, what are the verb tenses? And why do verbs have so many different forms? And the answer is, verbs take different forms to show all the possibilities for when something can happen. For example, in this picture, we have the girl and she didn't even start drawing, she will draw. And in this picture, she started drawing and she is drawing right now. And this is after she has done drawing, we say she has drawn. Okay. So the tense of a verb indicates the time of the action or state of being. Action like play, eat, drink, whatever the action is. State of being like he is happy, she was absent, and so on. So the time of the action or state of being expressed by the verb. There are 6 tenses of verbs. Each tense has its own use. So let's have a look. For example, in present, we say Paul lives in Boston. Then present perfect, we say he lived in several cities. In the past, we say Paul once lived in Utah. The past perfect, we say he had lived in Georgia before that. And here we need to notice that Georgia can be a city in the United States, and it can be Georgia, a country like near Ukraine and Turkey. As for future, the sentence is Paul will live in Boston for a long time. And then future perfect, he will have lived there for years. Okay. So, as for the present tense, it expresses an action occurring or a state of being that's existing now, at the present time. For example, mom drinks the orange juice. It's some kind of fact about mom that she drinks the orange juice. This is now in the present time. Then we have present perfect tense, which expresses an action that occurred or a state of being that existed at an indefinite time in the past. It is usually formed with have or has, have with the plural subject has with a singular subject plus a past participle. Do you remember that we studied past participle in class? So we said, for example, when we say speak, spoke, spoken, so the third conjugation of the verb, which is spoken, is called past participle. Okay, Saul has drunk his juice already. We don't know when Saul drank it. So it is in the present perfect. Something happened in the past, but it has some kind of result in the present time. Then we go to the past tense that expresses an action or state of being that started and ended in the past. For example, the Scots hiked all morning, and the action happened and finished in the past. But the past perfect tense is quite different because it expresses an action or a state of being that ended before another past action or a state of being. Here we have two actions that happened in the past, but the past perfect is the one that happened before. And it is usually formed with had plus the past participle. For example, the Scots had hiked. Had plus past participle. They had hiked 5 miles before they stopped for lunch. So they had hiked, the first action in the past, and then they stopped for lunch. The second one, which is more later, this is the first one. As for the future tense, it expresses an action that will occur or a state of being that will exist. And it is usually formed with will or shall plus base form. For example, the class will tour the Indian ruins. So this is a timeline, the action will happen in the future. And when we say future only, we mean simple future. When we say present only, we say simple present. Okay. The last tense today is the future perfect tense. And it expresses an action or a state of being that will end before another future action or a state of being. It is some kind of related to like the past and past perfect. Two actions happen in the past. The past perfect happened first, and then the past simple happened second. The same idea here. We have future perfect tense. Two actions will happen in the future. The first one that will finish in the future is future perfect tense, and the second one is simple future. Let's take an example. So it is usually formed with will have. It is different from will plus infinitive or the base form. No, it is will have or shall have plus a past participle. For example, by the end of the trip, the class will have toured 3 ruins. So the trip ends, this is future, but what will be finished in the future is will have toured. So this is called future perfect tense. And if we can see the timeline here, we have two actions here in the future, future perfect and future. This future perfect finished first, and then the second one happens. Now we have this kind of exercise. I need you just to do it at home. We can discuss it when we have our live session, inshallah. What should we do here in this exercise? He is saying or asking us to change the tense of the bold-face verb, which is this kind of verb, bold-face verb. So we change the tense of the bold-face verb in each sentence to the tense in the parentheses. to change it to the tense in the parentheses. For example, the first one, we have the verb makes, and we need it in the past. We say, exactly, made. That's great. So you do this exercise, inshallah we'll discuss it in our live session. Now with a new point, which is consistency of tense. What does it mean? It means that we shouldn't change from one tense to another without a good reason. Can we explain more? We use consistency of tense or apply it to describe events that occur in the same time period. We should use the verbs in the same tense. So we have the same time period, either past and past, present and present. So two actions in the present, two actions in the past. We should use the same verb and the same tense. Not the same verb, but the same tense. For example, here, we went to the movies. When we went to the movies, we bought popcorn. So, went in the past, we should put also bought in the past. And it is worthy mentioning that the word movies in the American English, it means the cinema. So when we went to the cinema or the movies, we bought popcorn. So this is in the past, and this should be in the past. But in the other one, I have present and present. When we go to the movies, we buy popcorn. So present and present, go and buy. So for events that occur in different time periods, we use verbs of different tenses to show the order of events. So different time periods, not the same. Okay, so we can use them to differently, tenses differently and verbs differently to show the order of the events. For example, Lisa plays basketball now, but last year she was on the volleyball team. So here, Lisa basketball playing is occurring in the present time. She's practicing basketball nowadays, but in the past she practiced playing volleyball. Another exercise I need you to do, like at home, depend on yourself. Just, he's saying here, read the paragraph and decide whether to rewrite it in the present or past tense. Then change verb forms to make tenses consistent. So we read the paragraph and we decide to rewrite it in the present or the past. Then we change the verb forms to make tenses consistent. This is also for working at home. So he's saying change the tense of each boldface verb, like that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. So we change the boldface verb to the tense given in the parentheses. For example, the children wear their seatbelts. So we need the past perfect. So we say wore. Okay. Past perfect? No, past perfect. So we say the children had worn. You got this? So in the past perfect we use had plus past participle. So the children had worn. What about this? Number 3. My family will move to Seattle. Again, a city or a district in the United States. So my family will move. We need present perfect have or has plus the past participle. So my family has moved. Great. So try to complete the other sentences, the same idea, and we can check them in the live inshallah. Review be the same as a kind of homework. He's saying here, read the paragraph and decide whether to rewrite it in the present or the past. Then change verb forms to make the tenses consistent. For example, I traveled to Denver and visited my grandparents. Shall I say I traveled and visited, or I traveled and visited? This is a question. You need to do it. Thank you so much for your patience watching this video. If you do not understand anything, just go back to the video, play it back once more time, and if you do not even you're not able to understand a point, just write it down and ask me in the live session inshallah. Thank you so much and see you in the live session. Goodbye.